1955 in San Francisco, USA. His mother's name was Joan Simpson, and his father's name was Abd Al-Fattah Jandali. Steve Jobs was ignored and rejected by others throughout his life. When he was born, he was quickly sent to another place to be taken care of by a family. His parents did not have good conditions, and as a result of their very young age, they could not take care of a child, so they left him to another family to raise him. Steve was adopted by Paul Reinhold Jobs and his wife Clara Hagopian. Steve was smart and thoughtful since childhood and was creative in many areas. Steve Jobs was a good student, but he always had trouble making friends. For this reason, he spent most of his time alone. Later, he participated in a swimming class and tried to improve himself in this field. Steve Jobs was progressing very quickly in the lessons, so that the school officials told his parents that it would be better for Steve to spend 2 years. Red leap after leaving elementary school, Steve Jobs went to high school, and during this time, his incompatibility with his peers increased. It was during this period that his father taught him to repair electronic components. After high school, he entered Reed College in Portland, Oregon, but dropped out after 1 semester. Once, Steve went to the Home Pro Computer exhibition, where he became friends with Steve Wozniak, and this acquaintance can be considered the basis of the formation of Apple. He was hired as a technician while participating in the computer exhibition at the Atari complex. In those days, the Atari company was active in the field of manufacturing and production of computers and gaming devices, and was very popular and best-selling. After some time and a trip to India, Steve started working again at Atari, and Atari managers asked him to design an electronic board for computer games with fewer chips and considered a bonus for this work. Steve was able to overcome this with the help of Wozniak, and later this process of friendship continued until Wozniak and Jobs came to the conclusion that they can solve the problems with their help. Steve Jobs was looking for an invention every day, and he even invented a blue box, which makes remote people able to talk to each other. Steve Jobs, along with Steve Wozniak and Ronald Wayne in 1975, started his computer company in his garage. Jobs set up in California. Steve even sold his Volkswagen and Wozniak his calculator to start a new company, Apple's first computer. It was called the Apple I, and it cost $666.66. In 1977, Jobs and Wozniak introduced the Apple II computer. The Apple company had an unprecedented sale. That's why Steve and his friends decided to offer its shares in the stock market in 1980. In 1984, Apple was worth $200 million. In the same year, Apple introduced the Apple III computer, which was a commercial failure in the market due to its high price and some hardware problems. Following this failure, Apple produced more economical products. In 1984, Macintosh was released to the market and experienced successful sales in the first few months, but its sales decreased from the following year. Steve Jobs, who had partnered with John Sculley, a Pepsi-Cola executive, to develop the company, clashed with him, and the board members decided that Sculley would stay and Jobs would only do the company's operational work. Jobs also sold all his shares in Apple and said goodbye to this company. In 1985, Steve Jobs started the computer company Next with an initial capital of $7 million. In 1996, due to the growing development of Steve Jobs and Next, Apple bought the company for $429 million, and once again Steve Jobs returned to Apple. In 1997, Steve Jobs was elected CEO of Apple. After the arrival of Steve Jobs in 2001, the Apple iPod was launched, followed by the iPhone in 2005, which was very popular. Then in 2010, we saw the iPad enter the market. Apple even came close to bankruptcy, But Steve saved the company and unveiled products that were a revolution in technology to the point where today the iPhone is one of the best mobile phones that everyone wants to use. Steve Jobs retired from pancreatic cancer in August 2011 at the age of 56 and died on October 5, 2011. After him, Tim Cook took the leadership of Apple in his hands. Steve's body was buried in a cemetery in Palo Alto.